In the Smart Wood Shop, I'm going to show you how to get a 6-inch hole saw for free. Hi, I'm Ron Paulk, designer of the Smart Wood Shop, the Total Station, and a couple other benches and fixtures that help you be more efficient in woodworking. If you want to get yourself a set of any of the plans to build these for yourself, you can click on the link in the description of this video down below. I have a lot of different hole saws, all the way up to this 6-inch hole saw. In plenty of my past videos, you've seen me use these quite a bit. The one warning I had, and actually I did a whole video on this, about using these larger ones, is that you have to be very careful. This is chucked into your 1/2-inch chuck drill, and when you start spinning that, it can really catch and twist your wrists and maybe even break a bone. I've sprained my wrists a couple times with those over the years. So in that video, I showed you how to use a big drill with a handle and tuck it in close to you just so it can't get away from you. Also, these are expensive and you have to have the exact size that you need. Again, my largest one is 6-inch. But I needed a larger one, actually just a little bit larger, an odd size one. I needed one that was 6 1/4 because of my template making. And I thought, well, rather than buy another expensive bit that I only really need a couple of times, I thought I'd make my own. And that's what that is right here. Now, you've seen me talk about templates and patterns before and using your router for all kinds of things. It's my poor man's CNC, or even better than that, it's my job site CNC. It's the CNC machine I can take to any job. And that is basically any pattern that I want. I can use traditional tools and make, and then with a simple router bit, this one happens to be a 1/2-inch upcut spiral bit, but you can use the standard 2-flute. It doesn't really matter. This is just cutting the wood. And a pattern guide and that matches the size of your bit. And then all you have to do is make a template, and it doesn't matter how simple or complex it is, and then this guide will follow it. The only caveat is that with this bushing, it's going to offset or make the cutout slightly different in size. And in this case, with a 1/2-inch and its proper bushing, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch smaller when I cut this hole with the router than the hole is itself. So if I want to make a 6-inch hole final cut, and I want something I can use over and over like this to make the holes, then I need to make this 1/8 of an inch bigger, in this case 6 1/8. Now, I have a different project I'm working on where I'm actually going to use the hole template to make a template that will give me my final cut. And by starting with 6, I lose 1/8, get down to 5 7/8. And because I'm going to use this to make the template, I actually need it to be a 1/4 inch bigger because we're going to lose 1/8 and then finally lose 1/8. So, you know, that drove me to thinking, well, you know, rather than having all these different bits, I could just make this. Well, I got to thinking about it. Not for your standard sizes. You need a good kit of hole saws. They're real handy, quick. You stick them in your drill, they go. They're pretty safe to use if you follow typical safety guidelines. But you get into the big ones, they cost a lot more. You need one for each specific size. You need a 4, a 5, a 6, whatever it is you need to do. And again, you start to get into the bigger ones, they can grab and cause some damage. So, you know, you've already got your router, your bushing, and your router bits. If you just can make these holes whatever size you want, and then make your final cut instead of buying and using these large hole saws. Well, I need to make these holes, and I can't use a hole saw to do it. It would make a lot of sense. So I went ahead, and today in the shop, I went ahead and made a circle cutter for my battery router. And this circle cutter that I made was ad hoc. I'm not going to really show you the details on how to make it. I actually want to make one a little more permanent for the router base that's a plunge base for this DeWalt battery router that I have, but I don't have that yet. So I wanted to go ahead and make this up real quick. So not a lot of thought went into it. It's basically a piece of 1/2 inch wood. I figured out a way to mount it on the base of the saw with a couple of screws. There was a couple of holes in the bottom of the base that were tapped for machine screws. I had a couple of those in my butainer bin, and I was able to get those to fit. So I drilled a couple of holes from the bottom of the wood and countersunk those so the screws would go up through the wood and right into the base of the router, and that would attach it to the piece of wood. And then I took the router, and again, it's not a plunge one, so I had to sort of spin it down or drop it down in to make the hole. And then all I did was just ran a straight line down this piece of wood and measured the distance from the far edge of the hole where the router bit goes. You can't go from the center, you have to go from the edge because that's the cut, the far edge. And then I just measured to the hole size I needed, half the distance. So I knew that I wanted this particular hole to be 3 1/8 or 6 1/4, so half of that 3 1/8. And then I just took a pin that I took out of my Festool circle cutter for my jigsaw, and just used that pin and just spun around that, and it was just very quick and easy. And I did put a screw into the fall off piece of material, the middle piece, just so that when it did come loose, it wouldn't accidentally rattle around. Don't think it would have, but didn't hurt to put that screw in just to hold that down. And that's all it took. And this just took a couple of minutes. And so then I was able to take this and make this. And so now with this, I can make all different sizes of these. Again, I wouldn't make 2 inch or small like that. But for these larger ones, I can make specifically the size that I need. So a couple of different shop tools. This one now I can take and I can put it on the wood that I want to cut. I can even use it up high in situations where I'm cutting something in place in a remodel where I can't pull the thing down. So there you have it. Instead of spending your money on an expensive hole saw, grab some scrap up out of your shop and make yourself one for free. Hey, if you like these woodworking tips, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Most important, share the video with others. Thanks for dropping into the Smart Wood Shop. Have a great day.